Well, welcome, everybody, back to the Cracked Wide Open series, A Path to Consciousness. I'm not sure if it's working, the live. Let me see really quick. That's why I came a little early. Let me close this here. Let me close that. And I want this. Give me just a second. Hello. I'm Star Delta 9. I hope this video finds you all well. Thank you for stopping by this live stream. This week, I'd like to talk about my journey and what I'm currently experiencing. I believe I'm beginning to understand what's happened to me. I think I'm going to explain it this way because I am an average layman, and this is not an IQ thing. This isn't where you were born. This isn't what country you were raised in, or how tall you are, or what color your skin is, or your hair, or your job, or anything like that. This awakening, spiritual awakening, consciousness, presence, it's here for everybody. I think in our lives, we go through this and that, and those things teach us lessons in life, right? Some we learn quickly, while others seem to take us forever to learn, including a spiritual awakening. I'd like to point out, I was not seeking an awakening. I wasn't seeking a spiritual awakening. I didn't even know they existed. I was unconscious until I had my spiritual awakening approximately 200 days ago. So this information is my experience, my journey, my spiritual awakening, and I believe each spiritual awakening is personal to the individual that's experiencing it. We all go through the consciousness of our own, or the consequences of our own unconsciousness from our own life up to that point of our awareness. And it isn't until you wake up that you become aware that you're not the mind. You're not the emotions. You're not the mental chatter in your head, the thought patterns that keep playing themselves over and over and over again, right? This universe, this society and humanity right now, and our children of the future are in a deep peril of unconsciousness. And the greatest gift you can have in life is to be awakened. Now, this pain and this suffering we cause ourselves is unconscious, which means we're not even aware we're doing it. It's unconscious. We're behaving in such a poor manner, we don't even know it. Now, FYI, we all know there are people or others who deliberately inflict harm on others, on kids, etc. Different topic, different story. I'm not speaking of them. I'm speaking of just what I'm talking about now. We keep asking ourselves, why does this stuff keep happening to me? I do everything that I'm supposed to do. I do this, and this, but I'm constantly manifesting a negative self-talk in my mind, right? That's constantly chattering to me, and it creates an emotion in my physical body, in my psychological body, in my mental processes, the actual psyche of my being, right? And this talk is based on upbringing, your self-limiting beliefs, your churches, your school teachers, your mom, your dad. We've all been taught this and we believed it. We lived it to be true. And all of those self-limiting beliefs and thoughts and emotions constantly had a mental chatter that was going along with them. I won't amount to anything. I'm worthless. I'm scared. I'm full of anxiety. I have insomnia. A lot of people don't know those emotions are based, lots of them, around anger and fear. Remember, I want to tell you too, that unconscious person is at the mercy of the conditioned thought patterns and emotional patterns of their mind. They operate on an autopilot mind, if you will, conditioning that's really a limited belief based on their upbringing, their religion, their political beliefs, their school teachers, etc., etc., etc. So that's why I emphasize to you, this isn't an IQ thing. It's not the color of your skin. It's not what city you were born in. It's not if you're very, very wealthy or very, very poor or very scholar or not educated at all, right? An unconscious person is an unconscious soul, period. There's no, it's like cancer. It doesn't discriminate. The only time I think it's going to discriminate is when there is an individual in humanity that's deliberately creating humanity's suffering to children, like pedophiles or something of that nature, right? So this is why I say to you now, all those things about IQ and school and color and church, because people are asking me, well, do I have to do this or do I have to do that or do I have to do, no, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything except have the willingness to surrender to consciousness. It's presence, it's omnipresence. When you get, when this happens, and I can only speak for myself, okay, because I can't read a darn thing yet because the energy is moving so quickly and my body and I feel like I'm going through an actual metamorphosis, like The Fly, the movie The Fly. That's literally what I feel like I'm going through. I feel like I'm being rotated backwards, like almost in a circular motion. The ring, the access of the universe, right? But presence is, to me, it is an omnipresence that you can't deny. It is sensations that run through your body that give you a feeling of nirvana, liberation. Buddha calls that the end of suffering. It is a disassociation with the mind. That's what it is. That's why I call mine cracked wide open, because when this happened to me, I made comments like, I feel like I've been struck by lightning like a tree and split down the center. I went to bed and I woke up and I don't know who I am. I'm experiencing things, sensations, temperatures, cold, warm, yada, yada. I can go on, but each one's going to be personal. But there's some pretty telltale signs that you are having an awakening. It's bliss. It's unconditional love. It's peace. It's comfort. It's joy. It's like someone has stuck a cinnamon bun right out of the oven in the middle of my chest, and I'm being rocked by my mother while I'm breastfeeding. It's peaceful. And I have been searching. I've been searching my entire life for all of these things in people, places, things, my kid, my job, my anything that I could attach or cling myself to, people, places, and objects, almost like an addict looking for a fix, and I could never find unconditional love, peace, joy, comfort, happiness, security, foundation. I could not find this in any of those things. I found this on my front porch in a 2-inch space in my mind, where I was able to, I'm going to call this down here this is the lower realm, and up here is the mid heavens, and then you can ascend to the higher realms, right? The clinging that I did to objects and to people and to things and to places like an addict, the reason I did that was because I was unconscious, 1, and 2, I was searching for my happiness, my love, my joy, my peace, my comfort in those things, and you can't find them in things. You can't find them in people. You can't find them in places. That's why people are in the grip of a huge suffering in our humanity. I find now what's happening to me is I'm kind of toggling. I call it toggling. I don't know if you can call it anything else, but I'm going to call it toggling. I'm toggling between consciousness and unconsciousness. Okay. And the things I'm dealing with now are guilt and grievances. Okay. And I want to clarify these just because I want to clarify these. Let me take a drink because my throat chakra is going crazy today. When I had my spiritual awakening, I told you guys I had my spiritual awakening due to the worst emotional, mental, and psychological and physical suffering I have ever felt in my entire life. Ever. Okay? It was devastating. Devastating to the point that it shook me to the very core of my psyche. That's why I went to bed, I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning and I said to my spouse, I think you've come in my room at night and banged me in the head with a baseball bat and you stole my soul. And from there, it was on like Donkey Kong, okay? So now that I'm 200 days in, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around there, I found this, about the 6 month, I found this space up here in your mind. It's kind of a 2-inch space, I'm going to call it. And I was able to crack wide open the fact that I am not that person talking to me all the time. I am not that person that's perpetually creating suffering for myself. It's no wonder I keep saying, why is this always happening to me? I'm changing all these things on the outside, but nothing's changing. I have the same outcome over and over and over and over and over again. That's called the hamster wheel of life. That's what we do. So the greatest gift we can give ourselves is to awaken. And this can be found in your living room. You don't need to buy it, steal it, have someone give it to you. You don't have to take it from anybody. It's free. And it's right here. Right here. It's not here. You're not your mind. I'm not my mind. I'm not my ego. I disassociated with that. And once you do that, here's what happens. You begin to toggle in the midheavens of consciousness with my daily practices of meditation and my Reiki that I do on animals and other people, my growing and my organic products that I enjoy making so much to share with other people that bring comfort to their bodies and joy and happiness to their life and help heal them from ailments that ail them. Those are all stayed. Everything else has fallen away. A 28-year marriage, a home. Everything I fucking owned, everything I thought I knew, everything I thought I believed is gone. In a light bulb moment. Okay? So now, give me a second. I am toggling between consciousness and unconsciousness. And what's happening in my meditation is I have found in this space where I disassociated with my mind that I am also in meditation. I am able to transmute and transcend in the emotional, mental, physical, or psychological pain, harm, emotion, or any of that is harming me. I have the ability to transcend it and transmute it out now, where I didn't have before. And it's like magic. It's like falls off you like butter, okay? So follow me if you can. And if you can't, please leave a question, because if your soul's screaming to have a question answered, ask it. It's your soul, okay? Right now I'm dealing with grief and guilt. Guilt would be, if I'm guilty, that means I did something to someone or did something in my life to make me feel guilty for it. And that would create my own physical suffering, right? And I would want to amend that and make it right. That's what guilt is. Grievance is different. Grievance is where I'm a nurse, and if you go into any hospital and you harm any of the patients, we are legally mandated reporters. Okay. And so if someone harmed a patient that was admitted to our hospital and it damaged them, then the damage was irreparable and the person passed away, that family would hold a grievance against the hospital. That grievance would be based around anger and fear and resentments that they had lost a loved one due to a unethical behavior of another human being. That is a grievance, okay? And so I am still in the grips of my environmental circumstances. They have not changed. Yes, I am getting a divorce. In 22 days, it will be final. Yes, things are moving forward, but that's not what I want to talk about, because sometimes it takes a village of suffering and pain to get you where you are during an awakening, okay? It's not so much the suffering, that's the point. Because every unconscious soul will be responsible for the consequences that they place upon another person, individual, or sentient being, animal, whatever. They will suffer the consequences once they are awakened. They will go through it physically, inside, emotionally, inside, mentally, inside, psychologically, inside. That's called the pain body, the psychological body. If you're following me, I don't know how old you are, but what we take up from us from the age of 7 is a learned behavior. We learn it, we train, we study it, and we live it. And one day we wake up and find that none of it is true. Okay? So, all of those imprints that have been placed upon yours or my physical body, psychological body, mental body, my psyche that's been imprinted on me by no fault of my own, by my pastor, by my school teachers, by the fight I had on the playground at school, by my parents. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? They're not yours. You were taught them. You learned them, and then you live them. They're not yours. When this happens and you become awakened, you know the truth. The veil is lifted. As you get older and you ascend in life and you climb the Jacob's ladder, you ascend. And when you ascend, the road gets narrower and the veil gets thinner. And so what I'm experiencing now at 2,200 days is the grief of a 28-year marriage I've lost. The grievances of the damage of the psychological, physical, mental bodies that was done to me by no fault of my own is in me, on me, within our bodies. Once you become awakened, there are modalities you can do, like I said, to transcend them. So I'm dealing with grief. It's sometimes self feels like it's something like I did wrong or something I was creating harm to in other people, right? But most of what I'm feeling is a grievance, because when I have to be in the environment. I'm just trying to think if I can think of if I could try to think of a hypothetical. When I'm in the environment with the individual, my body is triggered by something that may be said or done from an unconscious person and their behavior. And it triggers an emotion in me. And the minute it does, let's say if it's anxiety, my heart begins to race a little bit. That makes me alert to the fact that, hey, you've got some background noise here, some resonance, because the vibrational energy you have from the universe once you're awakened is a vibration. And it is a vibration you cannot deny, and you will feel it throughout your body. But anger and fear and anxiety all have a different resonance to them. And you will know this when you feel it. I promise you, I can't explain it, but it just is different. So when this one arose, I said to myself, why is this arising? What is this background noise? Why am I feeling anxious? And I had to address what the emotion was and the anxiety that was causing that emotion. So I had the ability to transcend it off my body and remove it. It's called residual. I'm going to call it residual for my psychological body or my pain body. And I sometimes am triggered by the person or persons that are unconscious and their behavior. Okay? I hope that you can understand that. I have to be very vigilant. I have to be a constant observer of myself. If I lash out and respond, I'm contributing to the collective Zen energy, am I not? The yin and the yang of life, right? The yin is the inner, is the female, and the yang is the masculine. Right now, humanity and society is in the grips of a polarity of the yin and yang energy. And during this new age of Aquarius, I believe we are back in the yin energy. But why does it have to be so extreme? Do we have to go all the way far to feminism back in the 60s? Or do we have to, we're impeaching our president, because of the yang, the masculine energy, right? So our society and humanity is in desperate need of an awakening. And I'm being told to share this. And I'm being told that it doesn't matter if it comes out perfect, and it doesn't matter if it's written down, and it doesn't matter if you misspell something. It doesn't matter if you have makeup on. Nobody cares. Consciousness does not care. Get the information out there, because I want to tell you this is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything. This residual that I'm experiencing, like I said, is psychological. It's a physical. It's a mental. But because I'm in this toggling where I'm toggling back and forth, because I can literally feel it, the minute that I rear my egoic self, because that's what it is, your ego, and your ego, I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Your ego's lashing out and saying, I want to win. I want to win this at any cost, and I'm taking all prisoners. I don't care who they are, and I'm not stopping until I win. That's your ego, okay? The Buddha, now I've not studied Buddhism. I'm not religious. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for a long time. I've been in the trenches. I know the medical processes of the body. I didn't know about an awakening. I didn't know that I could awaken my soul. I talked about in other videos where Eckhart Tolle wrote a book back in 2010 about the power of now. I read that book in 2010 and it flew over my head. Only parts of it resonated. I can't read anything now because when I try to read a line, it's like things get blurred and the energy's moving and I'm not able to concentrate or sit still long enough. So I have to do this on the fly. And I'm being told by God that it's not even God, it's consciousness, that you're experiencing residual. And when you're triggered by these people that are unconscious, you have to be vigilant and you have to be the constant observer. And if you lash out and you respond, you're contributing to the collective energy, right? And you're setting a karmic intention back out to them, because here's the thing, I believe they know not what they're doing. I didn't. And the Buddhists say walk the middle path. So in my daily modalities, I've been trying to walk this middle path, right? The best that I can for today, because really that's all I have, right? I just have the present moment right now. I don't have anything else. I can't go back and I can't go forward. I just have right now. So I don't want to confuse myself and cast a person out as an enemy when they know not what they're doing. At the same time, I'm not going to stand around in an environment where someone unconscious is causing deliberate pain to my physical body. I'm going to take practical measures and remove myself from that situation. That's practical. It's not personal. I want to say that if you can, I found this book. It's The Perils of Buddhism, 1001. And I've only read a few pages because see how small the pages are. I found this at the thrift store and I said, I'm going to read it. Let's try to read it. And I've only read a few pages, but they're saying, walk the middle path. They're saying that there is a form of dysfunction in our minds. If you go back all the way to the 1400s and even further back into Jesus's teachings in the Old Testament, go back to Buddhism, go back to Chinese teachings, they say the same thing, that there is and even science says it. I mean, just go look at a psychologist or a psychiatrist's office for 10 seconds and ask them how much dysfunction is going on in humanity's mind. Mass amounts. They have diagnosis lists that are as long as your arm and a leg, right? So the Buddha says walk a middle path, right? Now this is how I'm telling you. I don't study Buddhism. I don't study walking in. I've never. This is all new to me. All new to me. Okay. So in my daily modalities, I'm walking the middle path as best I can. Because really, that's all I have is right now. I don't want to confuse myself with anything more, right? So the middle road is the key, I think. Not extremes. Not condemning thy neighbor. Sorry, because you too, right, would be condemned by literally condemning your neighbor. Judge and be judged, right? Love and be loved. Hate and be hated. Polarity, right? So I want to say that the ego is strong and it can be tricky and it can be bold and it can switch sides at the drop of a hat. It doesn't care. It wants to win. It wants to win. I'm sorry. Everyone and anyone and anything is expendable to your ego. The ego does not know the situation. It can't determine the validity of the situation. It just wants to win. That's all. I believe this is wisdom that I've obtained. I don't mean to cry, but my God, this is... The awakening to me is like I don't know, it's like this triangle, right? right? And over here is the yin and the yang on the bottom, right and left. And on the top, I believe the top is awakening. I don't know why I think that, but I just think it. Because when you're awakened and you have this omnipresence, there is you just know. You just know. You don't need to be told or shown, you just know. And things are happening, right? Like I said, you guys know I do divinations, like tarot cards, and I do some spiritual readings, and I do Reiki. And I found a very beautiful deck, and it has this, I think it's called an intuition of singer or something like that. But what it looks like is two hands to me, pushing me up, like ascending me. Because the day I said that, I wrote it down in my journal, because I have lots of bits and pieces of stuff written down, and I'm just trying to piece the puzzle together. And I have that written down from a month ago. And I just did that read and saw that and said to someone, I feel like someone has their hands and like this, and they're pushing me up, literally, energetically pushing me up. That is the yin energy. This is the yang, the thrusting up. It's almost sexual, if you will. This is the yin. And I think that I've had this, and I'm in the yin energy in this age of Aquarius. And I believe that part of this is the wisdom that you obtain. I don't know why I think this is a triangle. I don't know. So, give me a sec. Wow. I'm so sorry. I'm crying. I'm really not sorry. I'm crying. My ego wants to say, I'm sorry. And I just keep telling it to shut the fuck up. That I'm not my ego. So, people who are unconscious don't have enough awareness to walk the middle road. This is why we need this shift to take place in a humans on this earth now. Jesus said, and I'm not religious, but I know these things because they're stuck in my head for some reason, and so I must have been told them somewhere in my life. And I went back and looked it up in the Old Testament. Jesus said, sin is to miss the mark. Missing the mark. Sin is human suffering, samsara, according to the Buddhists. Humanity is in a state of suffering, and they need enlightenment. We must turn the other cheek, right? They know not what they do. We must teach, mentor, even if I identify with them as an enemy, I'm missing the mark. I'm sinning against them, their very soul, because they know not what they do. And if another person causes you or I that same pain or suffering due to their unconscious behavior, make no mistake about it. You must forgive them as an individual soul, but they will suffer the consequences once they are awakened in their physical, psychological, and mental bodies. And they will have to do the inner work. And during a spiritual awakening, the inner work is gut-wrenching. It hurts everywhere. It comes up at the drop of a hat. It don't care. It is trying to reset your body, your system, your DNA code. That's why you wake up going, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. You can't even write your name, because all of that conditioned belief and behavior you were taught It falls. It falls like there ain't no tomorrow, man. Like butter right off the bread, just slides right off. And some of it, depending on how deep it is within your cells. We have 70 trillion cells in our body, people. 1.4 volts of energy going through one cell. Multiply that by 70 trillion and tell me I don't have enough energy going through my body to electrocute me. So if God or conscious presence can transcend this and make everything in my life that I thought and believed to be true fall away and show me the truth in my soul, by God, consciousness can do that for you, right? You can learn this too. You don't have to go through what I went through. It can be as blissful and easy as you want it to be, or it can be as painful and as agonizing as you want it to be. When you're unconscious, you have no creativity, no inspiration, and no free will. You are literally running on autopilot. Try it. Get up one morning and do one thing that is different from what you have done for the last 10 years. Maybe put your alarm on the other side of the bed and just listen to what your ego will tell you about those one thing you did. I was going to say three things, but one thing you did. It will scream at you and talk to you until you move the alarm back onto the other side where you're supposed to be. Because that is a learned behavior. You learned. You get up in the morning, you slap that alarm, throw your slippers on, hit your coffee maker, and out the door you go. And you have your devices and your cell phones and shit in your hand, right? You're not, it's autopilot. It's autopilot. Do you know? This is the hardest thing for me right now. I've always been a go getter, right? Since I was 16 years old, I've not lived at home. I've been a nurse since 1989, a respiratory therapist, and I know the body, and I loved my job, and I was good at it. And it's funny, I retired from my job in April of 2018. This happened to me March 28th of 2019. Everything I had identified with in my life, my son was grown and had children of his own. My marriage was falling apart and I didn't know why. My career, I was retired and I didn't feel like I was worth doing anything anymore. And